Hi, I'm Mark from Samaritan's Well. Have you wondered what are some of the most important points for divorce recovery? So many people these days go through that, and I want to give you some perspective in working with a lot of people in going through this. The first thing that I want to say is watch out for trying to fill the hole with something unhealthy. And there's so many things that can be healthy in divorce recovery. But this is a time that you can easily go into drugs or alcohol or binging something, binging food, binging shopping. And one of the things to do with that is have some accountability. Be aware of it yourself. Be aware of it in friends maybe that are going through this, and help each other in your community with turning to things that are unhealthy, because you'll trade one painful thing in for another. So that's one of the first things I just wanted to warn you about. Now, the second thing is so vital. It's overcoming your offense towards your ex-spouse and the people related. It could be a mom, a sister, a friend, or the other person. Maybe there was adultery or whatever. Overcoming your offense toward your ex-spouse and those related, towards God, because He is sovereign over all of this, and of course towards yourself. You may blame yourself a little or a lot, but there's almost always anger toward yourself. How do you overcome that offense? Well, when I'm working with people, the first thing I do is I'll have them write some letters. I might have you write a letter. You could journal towards your ex-spouse, just to be honest. Or it's like, dear God, this is how I feel towards him or her, or towards the people related. Once you can acknowledge the hurt and the hate, you can take steps to release it. But you have to own it first. And the same thing towards God. When you really think about it, so many believers will say, oh, I'm not supposed to be mad at God, so I'm not. And I tell people, is it better for you to be honest about it or dishonest about it? Most people do have some offense towards God, because maybe they've been in the church and they realize that there is this thing of God is sovereign. It's a mysterious thing. It's maybe difficult to teach, but I could still blame it on God. Why did this happen, or why didn't this happen? And so I have people do the same thing. You can go to Lamentations chapter 3 and read Jeremiah's letter to God. And you can express that offense toward God. You have to express it and own it. You have to humble yourself. And then you can make a choice to release your thoughts against God, which is another way of freeing yourself from offense. But forgiving yourself sometimes can be the hardest thing to do. Once you work on releasing these offenses, and one of the things you can do with forgiving yourself is you can write that same letter. You can do that same journaling, but make a choice to accept forgiveness from God. If you failed in some way, and we've all failed in our relationships, make a choice to forgive yourself. And the verse for this is Galatians chapter 2, verse 21. I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness comes by the law or by performance, how well I perform, then Christ died in vain. It's vital that you allow that grace to flow towards your ex-spouse, towards God even, and yes, towards yourself. When you can pray for blessings for your ex-spouse, you have forgiven them. When you can thank God that He has forgiven you, and when you feel back in fellowship with God, then you've overcome that offense. And that is so much of divorce recovery. I have worked with people that were, and you probably know them too, that have been divorced 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. They're still rehearsing the offenses. Don't be one of those. Take some time to grieve deeply, to cry the way you need to cry, to release, to get to that place of acceptance, and to forgive and to get free of the offense. Then you can move on. So part of recovering or divorce recovery is becoming self-aware. One of the ways you're going to do that is in community. Get feedback. Okay, please tell me if I'm falling into self-pity, because self-pity is digging the hole deeper and deeper for yourself. And you have to fight that off. And so self-pity you have to be aware of. But just being in community, being in a small group, being in counseling, going to church, having that iron sharpens iron is going to help you to have that self-awareness of how you're doing. And that's going to be vital. And you need that encouragement when you're going through recovery also. Speaking of support, there are some wonderful divorce care programs in churches around the country. And look in your local churches and see one that maybe that's been established, talk to the leader, and try to get in that divorce care. They're going to help you with grieving. They're going to help you with that accountability. They're going to help you with feeling connected to others also. And beyond that, make sure that you're practicing self-care. How are you doing with your balance of work and worship and rest? Because you need that balance in your life now more than ever. Obviously, after a divorce, very often there's children that need priority. Helping them to grieve will help you grieve also. So I just wanted to remind you of that. I hope these are some helpful things for you to get some perspective, and those are some of the most important things that I've seen in my counseling practice in divorce care. If you enjoyed this podcast, please do us a favor and like, subscribe, and share with others who might need it. And you can find additional resources at SamaritansWell.com.